The moment Oliver Hawthorne unlocked his front door 3 hours earlier than planned, his world cracked open in a way no boardroom betrayal ever had. Oliver, a 52-year-old white British property, stepped into his quiet London townhouse, expecting silence, only to freeze when his maid, Lillian Moore, whispered urgently from the hallway, telling him to stay quiet and not make a sound. Lillian, a 40-year-old black woman, stood pale and tense, her finger pressed to her lips as fear and determination collided on her face. The house, usually spotless and calm, felt different, heavier, as if the walls themselves were listening, and Oliver immediately sensed that this was not about spilled tea or broken glass. He lowered his briefcase slowly, heart pounding, as Lillian guided him behind a tall bookcase, her movements quick but controlled, the kind learned from surviving long before employment ever offered safety. From somewhere upstairs came a muffled sound, a scrape of movement, followed by a low male voice, unfamiliar and threatening, and Oliver felt his stomach tighten as the reality hit him that something was very wrong inside his own home. He whispered what was happening, but Lillian shook her head, her eyes shining with urgency, telling him there was no time, because she had already been ignored once today and would not risk being dismissed again. In that instant, Oliver realized with uncomfortable clarity that he had spent years barely noticing her presence beyond tasks completed and rooms cleaned, never asking about her life, her instincts, or her intelligence, assuming professionalism without recognizing humanity. As they crouched in silence, Lillian explained in hushed breaths that she had heard voices earlier, called security, and been brushed off by the estate manager, who assumed she was exaggerating, because people like her were always nervous, always dramatic, always wrong. Oliver felt shame rise in his chest as footsteps echoed above them, because he knew he had trusted the same manager without question, the same systems that doubted her without evidence. The footsteps paused, a drawer slammed, and Lillian's hand trembled slightly as she steadied herself, eyes fixed on the stairs, refusing to panic despite the danger. Oliver watched her in that moment and saw not a maid, but a woman standing between him and harm, guided by courage, awareness, and experience he had never valued. The house creaked softly as the intruder moved again, and Oliver realized his wealth, alarms, and reputation meant nothing without the woman he had overlooked, now risking everything to protect him. If you feel the tension tightening right now, take a second to subscribe, because this story is about to expose a truth far deeper than a break-in. And if you have ever been ignored when you spoke up, comment where you are watching from, because what happens next will shock everyone involved. Oliver Hawthorne crouched beside Lillian Moore, 52 and 40 years old respectively, tension pressing down like the walls themselves. As the intruder's footsteps drew closer, each creak of the wooden floor above slicing through the silence, and Lillian's dark eyes, sharp and alert, scanned the hallway while her fingers traced the edge of the bookcase, calculating the safest move in seconds. Because she had faced skepticism and dismissal for years, yet never let it cloud her judgment when lives were at stake. Oliver's heart raced, his tailored coat rustling as he tried to remain still, and he realized with sudden clarity that the woman beside him, often overlooked, had a courage, awareness, and precision he had never appreciated, her posture calm yet ready, every small movement a masterclass in control under pressure, while he felt shame tightening in his chest for all the times he had judged or ignored her voice in the past. A low groan echoed from upstairs, a drawer slammed somewhere, and Lillian whispered instructions, directing him to a hidden phone and telling him to stay low while she confronted the danger, her voice steady, confident, and commanding even without raising it, a stark reminder that respect is earned through action and insight, not title or wealth. Oliver hesitated, hands trembling, when she motioned toward the staircase, and in that moment he truly saw her, not just the maid who polished floors and served meals, but a woman whose intelligence, foresight, and bravery were unmatched, a person society had underestimated simply because of skin color and station. And as the intruder's shadow crossed the upper hallway, Lillian's fingers moved quickly to block the door, eyes locked on the threat with unflinching focus, whispering a single word of warning. And Oliver followed without hesitation, understanding that survival depended on trust in someone he had undervalued for years. The seconds stretched endlessly, punctuated by the quiet click of shoes, the subtle shift of furniture, and the intruder's low muttered curses as he tried to locate the source of interference. while diners of lifelong assumption would never have imagined that a woman tasked with cleaning rooms held the power to alter the course of events and protect a millionaire from imminent danger. Oliver's mind raced, reflecting on privilege, bias, and the unacknowledged talent and wisdom in those society labels as inferior, as he realized that courage is quiet, intelligence is often hidden, and respect is the currency of those who truly understand consequence. Lillian's calm directives continued, each word precise, each decision measured, and as the intruder paused, unsure of what had blocked his path, Oliver felt a mix of awe, gratitude, and deep remorse, knowing the woman beside him had rewritten his understanding of value and bravery in mere moments. And if you can feel the suspense and the shift in perception, take a second to subscribe, because the next chapter will reveal the shocking resolution of this home invasion. And if you have ever underestimated someone based on appearance or station, comment where you are watching from, because the truth about courage and dignity is about to be revealed. The moment the intruder froze at the top of the stairs, sensing resistance he could not understand, Oliver Hawthorne and Lillian Moore felt time stretch like a taut wire, every heartbeat echoing in the silence of the townhouse as the danger hovered above them, invisible yet palpable. Lillian's dark eyes, sharp and unwavering, scanned for every possible escape, every weak point, while her hands, strong yet precise, guided Oliver to stay low and follow her plan without hesitation. Because she had survived prejudice, dismissal, and skepticism for decades and knew instinctively how to act when a life depended on quick thinking. The intruder shifted, frustrated by the subtle obstacles she had placed, and Oliver realized that every small movement she had made, every whispered instruction, had been calculated to protect him without exposing herself to unnecessary risk. A combination of foresight, intelligence, and bravery he had never imagined in someone's society often dismissed as merely a maid. As the minutes passed, tension coiled in the room like a live wire, every sound amplified, the creak of a floorboard, the shuffle of a sock, the faint metallic scrape of the intruder adjusting, and Oliver's mind raced with shame and awe, reflecting on all the times he had ignored Lillian's insights, her instincts, her humanity, and how easily he had let status and race cloud his judgment. Lillian's calm voice whispered a precise sequence of instructions that made Oliver move like an extension of her strategy, and when the intruder finally paused at the hallway's edge, confused and hesitant, Oliver understood that her courage had rewritten the rules of the encounter, that strength was not in muscle or wealth, but in observation, experience, and a refusal to be underestimated. The seconds ticked like hours as Lillian slowly opened the hidden phone, calling the police with a steady hand while maintaining her protective stance, and Oliver watched, breath shallow, marveling at her focus, her intelligence, and her unwavering moral compass, understanding fully that she had saved more than property. She had saved his life, his legacy, and his perception of people he had misjudged. When the intruder finally retreated, confused and beaten by the invisible strategy of someone society assumed powerless, the room exhaled in silent relief, and Oliver, kneeling beside Lillian, felt a profound gratitude, a humbling awareness that courage often wears no uniform, that intelligence can be hidden in plain sight, and that respect is never optional. As the police arrived, securing the scene, he turned to her, eyes wide with admiration, acknowledging the truth he had ignored for years. And if you can feel the triumph and revelation in this moment, take a second to subscribe, because the final chapter will deliver a conclusion so powerful it will stay with you forever. And if you have ever underestimated someone because of skin, gender, or position, comment where you are watching from, because the ending will teach a lesson in courage, respect, and dignity you will never forget. Oliver Hawthorne stood in the quiet aftermath of the chaos, his tailored coat slightly rumpled, salt and pepper hair tousled, and eyes wide with the weight of realization, while Lillian Moore, dark eyes steady and alive with calm determination, still clutched the hidden phone, her braided hair catching the soft daylight streaming through the London townhouse windows, the air heavy with tension finally giving way to relief. Because what had happened moments ago had rewritten the very rules of respect and trust he had taken for granted. Oliver moved closer, his voice low, shaking slightly with humility, and asked how she had known exactly what to do, and Lillian smiled faintly, replying that experience, attention, and being dismissed for who she was had taught her to notice everything, to act decisively, and that courage is often quiet but no less powerful, her words landing like bricks on the walls of entitlement he had built around himself for decades. The police officers had now taken statements, and Oliver watched as they expressed admiration for the calm, composed woman who had guided him through the danger, while neighbors who had arrived outside whispered in disbelief, unable to reconcile their assumptions of race and station with the reality of her skill and bravery. And Oliver felt shame and awe, knowing that his wealth and power meant nothing compared to the human strength and intelligence he had ignored. He led her to the sitting room, offering a chair, and with steady hands, he finally said aloud what had been unspoken, that he had underestimated her, that he had failed to see her humanity and wisdom for years, and that from this day forward, nothing would be the same. Lillian listened, calm but commanding, reminding him that respect is earned and recognition cannot be bought, that bias has a cost far beyond momentary comfort, and that every person, regardless of role or color, carries value that may one day decide life or death. Oliver, moved to his core, made a decision that would echo far beyond the townhouse. He promised to review every part of his estate, his charities, and his company policies to ensure fairness, opportunity, and acknowledgement for those long overlooked. And he asked Lillian for guidance, her eyes gleaming with quiet pride, knowing she had transformed more than a life. She had transformed a mindset hardened by privilege. The house, once a symbol of control and hierarchy, now felt alive with the truth of courage, diligence, and dignity, and Oliver realized that the greatest lessons are taught not in boardrooms or with money, but in moments where humanity is tested, and when he extended a hand to her, a simple gesture filled with gratitude and respect, it carried more weight than all his wealth combined. If this moment moves you, take a second to subscribe, because witnessing transformation is witnessing hope. And if you have ever been underestimated and proven your strength, comment where you are watching from, because this ending teaches a lesson in courage, dignity, and the power of recognizing value in everyone, leaving a legacy that no money, title, or prejudice could ever surpass.